Welcome dear students, welcome to EDUHUNT video lecture series. We have been discussing about nutrition in plants and human being. What is nutrition and why it is required? Nutrition is nothing but it is the essential food elements that are required for an individual to grow, for an organism to grow, to develop, to perform metabolic activities, to reproduce, to live. That is why, for these reasons, nutrition is required. Deficiency of nutrition leads to some diseases and disorders in plants as well as in animals. Let us see nutrition in green plants. We know that plants are autotrophic in nature, that is, they can synthesize their own food material, whereas animals cannot. They depend on other organisms for food. Plants can synthesize this food. What is the process of this synthesis of or the preparation of food in plants? Yes, you are right. That is photosynthesis. For photosynthesis, as we have discussed in the previous session, it requires 4 factors: sunlight, water, CO2 and chlorophyll. The first 3 factors that are available in the atmosphere and from the sun are considered as the external factors, and the internal factor is the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, which develops in the autotrophic plants, is the site of photosynthesis. As we know that chloroplast is a cell organelle which is considered as the kitchen of the cell. Kitchen. In our kitchen, at homes, in our kitchen, what mother do? She prepares, what does she do? She prepares food in the kitchen. Kitchen is meant for food preparation. In the same way, the cell prepares food in plants. The site, that is photosynthetic site, is the chloroplast, that is the kitchen. Kitchen has stove. Stove is chlorophyll, that is pigment. Kitchen is the chloroplast, and the chlorophyll pigment that traps the sunlight, that is heat, sunlight, sun energy, radiant energy. It traps the sunlight and converts it into glucose, that is chemical form of energy, that is, it converts the energy into food. Mummy also prepares food from using various ingredients like rice, like dal, like vegetables. She cooks food with the help of these ingredients. In photosynthesis also, plants prepare glucose. For this glucose, the ingredients are CO2, water. And to combine these two, the energy is required. combine these two, it needs a location, that is chloroplast. Chlorophyll pigment, that is the actual site of the photosynthesis. Chloroplast is the cell organelle and chlorophyll is the pigment molecule in which the energy trapping process takes place. In the chloroplast, water molecule splits. This is called the photolysis. This happens in presence of sunlight. Photolysis occurs in the chloroplast. This photolysis, this is a part of light reaction that takes up the energy from the sunlight. In this process, ATP and NADPH2 will be generated, formed, and using this ATP and NADPH2, that is called assimilatory power. Using this assimilatory power, plants prepare the glucose without utilizing sunlight. Sunlight is utilized in the light reaction or light dependent reaction, and using this energy that is produced in the light reaction, the next process called the dark reaction or the light independent reaction that occurs in the stroma of the chloroplast. It fixes the CO2 into glucose. That is the process of photosynthesis. Anyway, we'll discuss in detail in the later period. Nutrition in plants. In green plants, especially photosynthesis is the only process described in your lower sections in plants. But there are various types of nutrition methods seen in plants, that is not only in green plants, in general plants. One is the autotrophic mode of nutrition. In this, photosynthesis takes place. These are considered as free living organisms. They do not depend on other organisms for their food. Next is heterotrophs, autotrophs, and broadly we can categorize this into two. Heterotrophs. These heterotrophs are again of parasitic plants. Symbionts. We'll discuss what are symbionts. And saprophytes. And fourth category, carnivorous. Carnivorous plants. These are the four different types of plants. Plants are categorized into four different types. One is parasitic plants. These parasitic plants are of two types. The plants which are green in color and they can synthesize food if water is provided. That is, they depend on other plants for water, to take water. They are called partial or incomplete. partial parasites. Partial parasites. Second is complete parasites. Parasitic plants are of two types, partial parasites and complete parasites. You can remember this by seeing the color. Partial parasites are green in color. They can synthesize food, only they depend on other plants for water. They take water from the other plants. So these are partial parasites. But complete parasites are non-green in color or pale in color or yellow in color. They take water as well as food. Directly they take water and food from the other plants called host plants. Host. The plant which provides food is the host plant, and the plant which takes food is the parasite. There is a relationship, there is an association between host and parasite. These parasitic plants have a special structures called haustoria. Haustoria. With the help of these haustoria will be like this. Strand like structures, and they project into the cell, they insert into the cell, they penetrate into the cell and draw the minerals, nutrients, all the nutrients from the host plant. These are the haustoria. There is a relationship between parasite and the host. In this relation, parasite gets benefit and host will be lost. It loses its nutrients. Because of that, it becomes pale, it becomes weak. Example is Cuscuta. Cuscuta, commonly called as dodder plant. It is a flowering plant. You can see Cuscuta plant here. It is the Cuscuta plant. It is also called as Bangaru Teega in Telugu because it is yellow in color. It lacks the chlorophyll pigment. It is a parasite, parasitic plant. Though it is a plant, we know that plants are autotrophs, but it is a heterotrophic plant. It is a parasitic plant which depends on other plants called host plants. They damage the host plants and draws food from the host plant. Yeah. This is about Cuscuta, a parasitic plant. Next is saprophyte. Saprophytes గురించి చూద్దాం. Saprophytes are nothing but the organisms that feed on dead and decaying matter, dead bodies. They decay the dead bodies. By decaying the dead bodies or by breaking down the materials, organic compounds that are present in the dead bodies, they get the food. They convert the complex organic materials into simpler ones. For example, if there is a leaf fall, after some time litter falls on the surface of the soil. After many days, after few days, the leaves become powdery in nature. They become powder because of the action of the organisms called saprophytes, they convert the organic complex materials into simpler ones. These are the simpler ones. They digest the complex materials and make the simple materials. They make up, not only make up the simple materials, they get into the soil and make the soil fertile, improve the fertility of the soil. The organic materials that are turned into simpler ones will enhance the soil fertility, because if they are in complex nature, plants cannot draw, the roots cannot grab these materials, they cannot absorb these materials if they are in complex form. If they are in simpler roots, if they are in simpler and easily soluble in water, happily the roots absorb these nutrients from the soil. So that is about saprophytes. Saprophytes are bacteria. Mostly the microorganisms belong to bacteria, are saprophytic in nature, and second is fungi. Even fungi also saprophytic in nature. They are present in damp soils and even they are found on the moist barks. Plant barks untai kada, trees barks. They even found on the barks, even on the damp soils. These fungi are present, even bacteria also present. These bacteria and fungi, they make the material into, they convert the complex organic materials into simpler ones. Next is a very important one, that is carnivores. Carnivores. Carnivores are the plants which eat insects, plants that depend on insects, called insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants. These insectivorous plants, they eat the insects, they depend on insects for nutrients, and these are called carnivorous plants or insectivorous plants. We will see about these plants in the next session. We have seen that some of the plants are parasitic in nature, they harm the host. By harming the host, they get the nutrients. Example, cuscuta. Cuscuta is the best example of parasitic plant. Even though Orabanki, Balanophora, Striga, all the other plants are also there, but cuscuta is frequently seen. It harms crops. అందుకే దీన్ని రిమూవ్ చేయాలి అని అంటూ ఉంటారు. దీన్ని రిమూవ్ చేయడం వల్ల, బికాజ్ ఇట్ డ్రాస్ మినరల్స్, న్యూట్రియంట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ద గ్రోయింగ్ క్రాప్. హౌ కెన్ ద క్రాప్ గ్రోస్ without because of deficiency of nutrients? That is why it should be removed from the fields. Second type is the, as we have mentioned, that is saprophytes. Saprophytes are the organisms which convert the organic complex molecules or materials into simpler ones. They, without harming the organisms, they are getting that, because after dead only they attack the organism and they draw the materials from the, they convert the materials and then take the simpler materials. They digest the materials externally, exocellular or ectocellular in nature. The enzymes, that especially proteases are present. These proteases are enzymes which digest proteins. They digest the proteins and convert them into amino acids, and easily they get these simpler forms, simpler nutrients from the soil. They release the extracellular or exoproteases into the soil and draw the, by converting or by digesting the complex materials in, they draw the nutrients. This is how mineral cycling and even the enrichment of soil occurs. These are called, saprophytes are called natural scavengers. What do scavengers do? Scavengers, they clean the area, like that they clean up the environment. That is why these are considered as natural scavengers. మనం ఈ ఇన్సెక్టివోరస్ ప్లాంట్స్ గురించి నెక్స్ట్ సెషన్లో చూద్దాం. థ్యాంక్ యూ.